And we are back with another masterclass. This time we will discuss dribbling, and that is largely because post-patch dribbling is much more important. In the pre-patch, dribbling wasn't as important because the L1 triangle allowed you to pretty much skip the entire build-up and get straight into a dangerous attacking spot. And then because crosses were so OP or finesse shots, you were pretty much either dribbling to the outside to cross it or dribbling to that one angle to shoot a finesse shot. Therefore, dribbling in the build-up especially just wasn't really highly regarded, and dribbling to create scoring chances, whether it's dribbling past a defender to shoot or just dribbling into a shooting chance, it wasn't highly regarded because those other methods were so OP, right? Now it's fast forwarding to post patch. It's very important to have not only good dribblers, but good knowledge of when and where to use different types of dribbling and which players are better at different types of dribbling. I'll give you an example. This is my starting 11. So my wingers, both Mbappe and Messi, amazing at dribbling all around. They're two of the best dribblers in the game. Any scenario where dribbling is needed and those two are on the ball, you're in good shape. But there's other five in particular, players on this team that are tricky good dribbling, and it's in their own way. I'll give you examples. Holland, he's excellent with his combination of power, speed, and strength. When there's open space ahead, even if there's a defender coming on to try to shoulder him off because of his strength, he can explode past defenders and either get into that space, blow past defenders on a breakaway, or blow past defenders to then create a scoring opportunity. He will not get knocked off the ball, right? And once he gets going, he's like a freight train. Son, he's not as good as exploding into space, but on those quick cuts and then shots, especially with his great finishing, those quick little fake right, go left, go right, or just one quick feint, like quick fake shot, and then really shoot the ball. He's good at those, right? If you add just a little dribble in between there to shake the defender even further, once they get used to just a fake shot, hit, he's good at that. He's good at just those little quick cuts, dribble, shoot, cut, dribble, shoot, not exploding into space because he's not the fastest player, right? Then you go to Camavinga, very good at R1 dribbling in the midfield. Say you win the ball, he wins a tackle, and you know a lot of players will rush a pass then, and the defense will intercept it. He's very good at winning the ball and then taking the space and then finding a pass, right? Winning the ball, taking the space, maybe pulling defenders out to a certain direction, then cutting back and finding the open pass. Very tricky, good dribbling, especially with R1, very tight control on the ball. He's not going to blow by anybody with elite speed or anything like that, but you don't need him to, right? You need him to win the ball, and then sometimes when the pass isn't on, or when he has space, you need him to take that space and not, allow the opposition to win the ball right back. Then you go to the wing backs. They're very good down the line, especially since they buffed the wing backs positioning. They don't just run all over the place crazy if you don't have them on that one setting, don't cross the halfway line. Both Udogie and Dumfries in particular are excellent now and support the attack because when they're, just a passing option to receive and pass, it's good. But a lot of times there's space on those wings, right? And the opposition's not really worried about them. So they'll get the ball and you can explode down those wings and take the space and you force your opponent to then draw someone out to mark them, or they're going to be able to take the ball in a dangerous area and they can cover that space very quickly off the ball, right, defensively, but even on the ball. They're very good going down that line with space, being able to explode down that line with the ball. So, again, different players are good in their own ways at different dribbling. It's not just some players are all around like Messi and Mbappe, but you have a lot of other good dribblers too. You just have to know the right place and the right time to dribble and to use the different types of dribbling, which we're going to go over in this video. But before we do that, let's talk about some of the other great dribblers in this game. Obviously, there's different types of dribbling, and certain players are better at certain types of dribbling, but just overall dribbling, you got, of course, Mbappe and Messi we talked about with 91 and 90 dribbling overall. They're excellent. You got Vinicius Jr., who is an all-around best dribbler in the game, most likely. Although a tricky, like lower rated player, but who's amazing at dribbling would be like a Lamine Yamal, who's incredible. Mo Salah, as well as Saka. And they're all just a little bit different in their own ways. Similar to body types in EAFC, you have like even though there's not body types, like a Messi and Salah, the ball's glued to their feet. They don't necessarily have that explosive sprint speed or acceleration, but the ball is so tight to their feet, it's hard for defenders to get it. Vinicius is probably the best overall because he combines amazing speed with the sharpest dribbling, and then Mbappe is like a little lesser version, similar to Vinicius, though. Then you got your bigger players that are amazing on the ball, like your Rafael Leao and your Nico Williams, who are incredible at dribbling, but they don't necessarily feel quite as good. And that's why I brought up like Lamine Yamal, who's not as well known as some of these guys, but his smaller stature with his incredible dribbling, it just makes it so hard for defenders to get the ball. He's so sneaky and slimy on the ball, just easy to sneak past defenders, right? Then you have someone like Saka, who he's got a longer frame and he seems faster on the ball than, like, let's say a Messi, but his pace isn't that great. He's just got really tight, really good dribbling. So it all depends on kind of what you're looking for, as well as what suits you best and your play style. To each is their own, right? So some players might want more of a explosive, quick, cover space as fast as possible type of dribbler. Other players just might want those short little in and out type of dribbling that's not as explosive, but it's great for quick changes in direction, right? You're going to be able to shake defenders in and out until you find a pass or find a shot. So it's truly all about what you are looking for, both what suits your play style, but also different positions call for different types of situational dribbling. In different positions on the field, no matter what player you have, calls for different types of dribbling. So it's a combination of both. The more you know, the better you'll be. With that being said, let's get into the different tips and tricks to make you a much better dribbler in game. So getting into it, we're going to start with some rules of thumb, if you will, as far as dribbling goes. And the first one of those is take your space. It's the most important part of when should you dribble as opposed to when you should pass. And the answer is not all the time, right? Sometimes a quick pass, right? Because we all know that passing covers ground quicker. So it's one of the first things you're taught as the ball moves faster than the man, right? So there's absolutely times when you want to make a quick pass to cover that space. However, there's certain times, especially in UFL, where defenders might be right on players further up the field, and taking your space on the dribble allows you to see what your opponent will do, right? They're going to have to close you down eventually, and when they do, they're most likely going to pull a defender away from one of your attackers, and that's when you have the open pass to then move the ball, pass to that player, and you do the same thing on repeat. If you just always are looking for the pass, even when there's space there and you might want to get the ball up to feel quicker, sometimes what you're going to do is, one, allow the defender to step up, read your pass, and steal the ball, right? And other times you're also going to take away potential scoring opportunities if you would have just been patient, took your space on the dribble, forced that opponent to move a certain defender to close you down, then played the ball to that player that is now open instead of covered, and he may be able to go in for a shot. Or it's just a domino effect. You force your opponent to pull a defender on whoever's dribbling, and you pass the ball up. Then now your opponent has to make another decision to pull a defender away to cover that player. And eventually, you keep doing this until you have an open shot. So make sure you take your space on the dribble. And tying into that is pulling defenders away when you are dribbling. You do not want to dribble into a space where you're going to create a cluster of players, which will make it easier for the opponent to defend. On the dribble, you want to notice the space where you want the ball. Notice where you see a dangerous area to play the ball into your teammates, either with a pass, or notice space where you want to dribble into, but there might be too many defenders in the way. So then you dribble away from that space, and then you can either cut it back in or just pass into the space once you pull defenders out, or dribble into that space once you pull the defenders out. Now what you did is create a bigger opening and a better opportunity to do what you need to do, which is create a scoring opportunity. So the key is essentially just like in real life, keeping your head up on the dribble, right? You're not only just dribbling aimlessly, right, looking to keep the ball. You're keeping the ball with a purpose, sort of scouting out the field, noticing what space is open, noticing what players are open, and then as you're dribbling, you're pulling defenders away and then looking to get that ball when the time is right, either through a pass or turning and dribbling into that open space after you pulled those defenders away. So just like anything, make sure you have a purpose when you're dribbling. Speaking of purpose, let's talk about the cam or second striker and how it relates to dribbling as well in this post-patch era. Okay, so the pre-patch era, because of the L1 triangle, the cam was pretty much wasted since most of the build-up play was skipped. Now that you have to build up in a regular way, the cam is more important than ever because much of the time the defenders are going to be on your furthermost striker. So whether you have a cam or a second striker in a stacked setup, and for those of you who don't know, by stacked I mean, so a 4-4-2, right, would be flat striker setup. A 4-4-1-1 would be a stacked striker setup. And why that's so important is because it gives you an option to play the ball into someone that's not going to be marked tight. Like I said, most of the defenders are going to be on that furthermost striker. And then you have sort of an in-between attacking player between your midfielders, like center defensive mids or center mids, and your furthermost striker that can either play the ball to the wings or, and this is where it relates to dribbling, you can receive the ball with that cam and then take your space to the left or take your space to the right and either just shoot with that player or pull defenders away to then play in your wingers or striker. You will either pull center backs onto you or you'll even pull wing backs sometimes onto you. And you can play a pass or shoot depending on what your opponent does. The cam just creates havoc for the opponent to make decisions defensively. So I wanted to put that in there. There's so many times I have Son in that position. The main reason I have Son in that position, he's not the most speedy player, right? Not the best quick, tight dribbling like Messi on the wing, even though Messi doesn't have speed, he has that tight dribbling. But Son in the middle has just enough quickness and good dribbling to push to the left or push to the right, and he has amazing finishing as well as a 5-star weak foot. So whether he goes left or right, he's just as dangerous in both. With that being said, I just wanted to add that in there. Make sure you look at how strong a cam is in this post-patch era and strongly consider using a formation either with a cam or a second striker in a stacked striker setup. Just wanted to note that, and let's move on. Now, there are many types of dribbling, and we are going to talk about the R1 dribbling for tight control. Now, this can be used in various areas of the field. The first one many would think of as the wings, but it's very good for your CMs or CDMs in a situation where they intercept or make a tackle in a congested part of the field where your opponent can usually win the ball right back, or you rush a pass and your opponent intercepts. But for instance, Camavinga, I talked about him being tricky, good at dribbling. He'll win a ball with a tackle or interception, or he might even just receive a ball, and then he's able to do a very good job of taking space, pulling defenders, out of position, and then finding a pass. And the best way to do this is using R1 dribbling instead of regular dribbling because it's tighter to the foot, meaning it's harder for the opponent to get to that ball and steal it, right? So this is just an example of a center mid. Obviously, you can use it with strikers, with wingers. It's just you got to find the right time to use it, which is typically in more congested areas, right? Or when you have a defender very close to you that could make a tackle, because the closer the ball is to your foot, the harder it will be for them to steal the ball. Now, this isn't a type of dribbling. It is holding R2, which is a sprint button, while dribbling. So first, let's talk about the fact that you do not want to get in the habit of just every time you're dribbling, holding down R2. Many players make this mistake, and it causes them to lose the ball because the ball is just pushed too far out ahead of the player when you hold R2. And in the wrong areas, it just makes it easier for the opponent to steal the ball. However, there are many times when holding R2 to sprint is a good idea. And usually that is, if not always, going to be when there's space ahead of you. Other times, though, there might be a little bit of space and then some congestion. So what you really want to do is get used to knowing when to hold R2 while you're dribbling and then let it go. Or knowing when you're going to hold R2 and then let it go and then hold R1, right? You need to mix and match the different types of dribbling. And really, that's when you become a true master of dribbling, when you learn when and where to use what commands to make your dribbling the most efficient. Next, we're talking about good old-fashioned left stick dribbling, right? The key component of left stick dribbling is first and foremost having a game development team that gives you a good left stick dribbling system. And what I mean by that is there's certain times when left stick dribbling can be very stiff. And if it's very stiff, it's going to be hard. You try to change directions, you can't do it very well. Many times that's when the defenders will be able to steal the ball off the dribble from you. I'd say a good example of bad left stick dribbling, when I played eFootball, the left stick dribbling was awful, okay? EAFC over the years has fluctuated. It's had times where it had very good left stick dribbling, times when it was bad. I will say with UFL right now, I feel like they have very good left stick dribbling. When you combine that with the spacing, you absolutely can master left stick dribbling and be that much more dangerous in the attack. Where left stick dribbling comes in handy, right, is when you need to be quick with your change in directions. When you are in congested areas, it can be very good to be prominent with your left stick dribbling because you can get out of sticky situations, wiggle your way out of an area where you typically would lose the ball. And the biggest thing is just practicing with that left analog stick. If you're too heavy on your movements, then the ball is not going to go exactly where you want it. The opponent's going to steal it. If you're light on those movements and know exactly how to weight different changes in directions and when and where to use those, then you're going to be shaking defenders left and right, and your attack is going to be that much more potent. So make sure you're working on your left stick dribbling. It absolutely is effective in UFL. So it's a combination of working on your left analog stick, getting your movements right to master left stick dribbling, and knowing which players are the best to use with left stick dribbling. Now, this next part of dribbling does not have a command, but for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call it power dribbling, which is when you have a big, strong player and he has a chance to utilize dribbling to create a scoring opportunity. A good example of this, as you can see on screen, would be Erling Haaland or any players like him. Now, you want to utilize dribbling not in small areas with quick change of direction, right? That probably wouldn't be the best area to dribble for a player like Erling Haaland. However, when he has space in front of him, either to use speed over that space to blow by defenders and create a scoring opportunity, or just a little bit of space to quickly burst through and create a scoring or shooting opportunity, that would be the best time to use power dribbling, which is just essentially timing it right so that the defender, who typically speaking, when a defender has a chance to put in a tackle on you or get his shoulder in on you and knock you off the ball, you're not going to want to go up against him. You're going to want to cut back or pass the ball away so those defenders, especially center backs who are typically bigger and stronger, can't win the ball from you. But with a big, strong player like Haaland, or like I said, others like him, what you want to do is you want to hold your dribbling where the ball doesn't go so far ahead the defender can get out ahead and win the ball. So you want to make sure you keep the ball tight so that player's strength is in play. And then you time it just right that when that defender goes and makes a tackle, you use a combination of regular, just left stick dribbling, sprint dribbling where you're holding R2, and then knock-ons, which we're going to get into next. Now, if you combine all those, what will happen is that defender will go in to make the tackle, and instead of winning the ball, he will just bounce off you. You will blow by that defender, and you will get that scoring opportunity that you're looking for. Last but not least, we're going to go over 3 commands that you can add to your dribbling that will give you a boost and help you blow by defenders. The first one we're going to talk about is the knock-on, which is simply double tapping the sprint button, R2. When you do this, as you see on screen, you get a fairly good speed boost, but it's at the cost of pushing that ball way out ahead of you and then sprinting and catching up to it. So you just need to make sure when you do this, you have enough space to catch up to the ball before a defender can get to it. Or another mistake players always make is they'll do this right into a defender, right? So you can do it when there's still defenders ahead of you. You just need to make sure you have enough space to catch it and that it doesn't push the ball so far up that it goes right into a defender. The best time for this would be when defender's close to you, either trying to make a tackle or about to maybe push you off the ball. You hit that double tap, that R2, you'll push the ball up, especially if you have a faster player, and you will speed boost right by them. And this next one is technically considered a skill move, and you see it has a little bit of a side push to it, but for all intents and purposes, it is a speed boost. All you do is double tap R1. Now, it's not as quick. You don't get as much of a speed burst as you do with double tapping the sprint button R2, but it also doesn't push the ball as far ahead. So when you're in tighter spaces, right, and you don't want to push that ball as far out, the double tapping R1 could be a good one for you. A lot of players will use this like in and around the box when there's a space between two defenders, and they'll just quickly double tap that R1, which gives them that little speed boost animation, and then shoot the ball. And last but not least is the fake shot speed boost. So many of you know the fake shot is an OP way to receive the ball in the first time fake shot. Not realistic, as we know. Players aren't just receiving the ball all over the field with a fake shot. However, for this game, it's OP, and it's also OP to use it as a way to get a speed boost. Out of the three, it is the least powerful, right? It doesn't give you the fastest speed boost, and it pushes the ball the least amount forward, but in some areas, you just need that little tiny push ahead of you, so it can be absolutely viable. It's just all about deciding which of the three you want. So the double tap sprint button pushes the ball the furthest and gives you the fastest speed boost. The double tapping R1's not quite as far, not quite as fast, but gives you that nice little animation to create just enough space to shoot the ball or blow by a defender. And then the fake shot speed boost can give you just that little bit of extra space, maybe to prevent a tackle, or more importantly, to prevent a block shot. So it's all about getting in game, practicing all these, and utilizing them on top of mastering your dribbling altogether. And that concludes the video for our dribbling masterclass. I hope you guys got something out of this, and as always, keep grinding, keep having fun, practice your dribbling. It is absolutely OP, not just for this post-patch era, but it is a staple of any football video game going forward, so it is worth getting good. Once you were good on that left stick, you were always good on that left stick. So get after it, and until next time, have a good one.